Welcome. Thursday night, Thursday afternoon, or Thursday morning, whatever it is, whatever time zone you are. Or if you're watching a replay, it could be midnight for all we care. I mean, just glad you're tuning in to Family Matters with the one and only Kevin Petersen. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm well, Jay. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing all right. I mean, doing very well. Still in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be taking a voyage back to Dallas, Texas here pretty soon. So,
how are you?
Yeah, I don't know if I should do it before the weekend or after the weekend, but anyway, we'll do it. But anyway, we do this every week. We try to stump Kevin with questions about codependency, mental health, substance abuse, substance misuse, addiction, parenting, whatever it is. We have yet to do it. But we answer your questions live. We don't say your name, which the word is getting out. So we're getting more and more questions, I think, which is good. We answer the questions that most people are probably thinking, and maybe we're giving an avenue to ask it. And so, Kevin, anything on your mind? Anything rattling around that clinical masterpiece of a brain?
Oh, no pressure, Jay. No pressure. I just, for all our brothers and sisters that are in the Hurricane Helene environment, and especially our folks in our biz and our treatment world, I know there's some folks that are really fighting it and struggling it. So I just want to throw a little love on them. But yeah, that's about it, man. What you got? Let's do it.
All right. Well, I mean, you always have the right things to say, that's just.
I don't know about that, but okay.
I mean, so Kevin, can my spouse and I rebuild intimacy? Our relationship has been so disconnected because of his addiction. How do we even start rebuilding this intimacy we once had? I mean, how do people even stay married after going through what we've gone through or go through addiction? I mean, it's a long, basically.
Sure.
But I get it. I know exactly. I wasn't married when I go, thank God. But she's basically saying, like, almost as if it's almost like they started dating again or meeting. Like, it sounds like the husband now is in early recovery or, probably in first year or so. I mean, and now she's basically saying there's just been the past, the present, just that's how do you read? He's asking.
Well, that is a great question, and it's one that we definitely dig into a lot. There's a couple of things going on here, right? So there's, I don't know the specifics. Was there betrayal? Was there, there's a lot of stuff that potentially are going on there. Let's see what color I like today. Hold on. Oh, I like that one. I have a new light. So
don't get too fancy on me, Kevin.
Don't worry, I'm not. I would say a good couples therapist is going to be your best start. Now, a couple of things first, okay? Both of you need to be in your own recovery and your own therapy. So your husband needs to be going his 12-step stuff and his individual therapy. You need to be doing your 12-step stuff and your therapy. Couples therapy isn't about going into the room and slugging it out and throwing rocks at each other. It's about asking the question you just asked. How do we rebuild our intimacy and our trust and our relationship given everything that we've had to put up with and everything that's happened? And I'm going to recommend a methodology that I think works really well for people that are in this situation. It's a methodology by a guy named John Gottman, Gottman. And actually, the book that I recommend is called The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. See? It's a New York Times bestseller. It's been around for a long time. And you can go up on the Gottman website and find therapists near you that practice their way of doing things. I find their way of doing things to be really complementary to people that are in recovery. It's very solution oriented. It's very direct. It's, people that are engaged in that sort of process are like, oh, okay, I get it. This is what John Gottman basically studied tens of thousands of couples for many, like 40, 50 years, and said, here are the things successful couples do that. Here are the things unsuccessful couples don't do that. And I think for people that are in early recovery, that's what they need. They don't need long conversational, how does that make you feel? They're like, tell me what to do. I want to get things better. Tell me what to do. And then that stuff tends to, you start to have the more in-depth relationship conversations with using the repairing methodologies. So that's my answer. Is it possible? Oh yeah, it's totally possible. Now, I don't know the details of your specific marriage, of what's, I don't know what happened. Okay. And so, I mean, that's where you got to go to individual therapy for. And because you got to walk into couples therapy prepared to say, this is where I am. This is what I'm thinking. This is where I stand. So, and not go in there thinking you're going to take some swings at your partner.
It's tough. I mean, I can, I know it's an ongoing issue. So, I mean, I know that I can tell you if she's watching, and we'll give a clip of this answer, but you're definitely not alone. It's what I hear it all the time within the rooms and out, and, professionally and personally, when I go to my own recovery rooms, it's an ongoing issue, especially in men's rooms and so forth like that. And it's just about the reconnection. And you're right. I mean, most often, I don't know, I sit in a lot of men's meetings, and you're right when it says, like, most men, in this case, she's talking about her husband. It's, what do I need to do? And I like how you said, let's not sit on a couch and just talk about, like, the past and how that made you feel or something. Most men in this situation probably just want, what do I need to do? What do I need to work on? And how can I go about doing it to reconnect with my wife? And that's really all I do. So I like how you said that. It's the first time I ever heard about that book. So
yeah. Oh no, it's great. I'm there. You want a therapist that's trained in their methodology. There's 3 levels. I'm trained at level 1. And so if you go to their website, you'll find the right people.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Kevin, my kids have watched me through the years, always picking up after my husband's messes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're picking on husbands, but this can always go for husbands, wives. Addiction does not. Anyway, so always picking up after my husband's messes, literal and emotional. My kids have always seen it. First question is, how do I explain that they shouldn't do it the same? Second question is, my husband has actually gotten into early recovery. He just celebrated 9 months of sobriety. She gave a parentheses clap of hands, so I think she's excited. And so she's asking, I think kind of along the same lines, maybe not, but so the kids here have always seen dad as kind of the outcast, probably within his addiction, probably have missed out on their life a lot. And so what she basically is saying is the kids are they're seeing mom basically run the household, pick up after dad through the course of years. And she's not giving the dad a pass, but she's kind of saying, like, I kind of feel like my husband's getting a raw end of the deal because he's actually trying to make, be present. And the kids are just kind of, so used to dad not being there and not giving him a chance, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, it makes total sense. This happens all the time, and I totally get it. And I think what I would say is that, it's about, I think right now it's about being super patient with everybody and everything and saying, hey, incorporating dad back into the environment and do it slowly. I mean, this is very similar to when somebody comes back from like military service or stuff like that, where it's like, hey, just take your time, allow it to work in. um, you know, uh, I would say, depending on how old the kids are, maybe some family meetings about, and because I get it, because all of a sudden there was this deadbeat character that was sleeping on the couch or elsewhere, and now all of a sudden there's a dad, and I totally understand that, and it makes perfect sense. So what I would say is we're going to have a team meeting. We're going to have a big family team meeting and talk about what's going on, because the kids need to understand dad's sober, dad's getting it together. And so we're gonna work harder and try harder and do a better job. And everyone gets a vote, everyone gets a message, everyone gets to speak. There's a lot of different ways of facilitating that. But first things first, I would just say, I'd ask the kids, you guys have any questions? I mean, things have changed, right? So let's talk about it. Now here's a really important thing to understand, and I really stand by this. It's critical. The kids are welcome to their opinion, but they really don't get a vote. And I'm not trying to be mean, but they're the kids. It's like letting the inmates run the asylum. You want to take their opinions into consideration and take their feelings into consideration and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. We will definitely talk about that and work our way through that, and what your thoughts are, what your feelings are. But they don't get to dictate how things go, because the parents have to be parents. And that's part of the problem. My dad has not been a parent. So now dad's going to be a parent, but it's not about pleasing the children. It's about being dad. And mom and dad got to be a team. They got to be same team, same play. So, of course, I have a book. I don't even think I have a copy of it to show you, which is really disappointing for me.
You're losing your edge, Kevin. You're losing your edge.
Jay, I'm telling you, man, what the hell?
Your marketing team would be so upset with you right now.
Don't tell them. Just not tell them. Parenting, it depends how old they are. There's 2 books by the same people: Parenting with Love and Logic, and Parenting Teens with Love and Logic. And when I say teens, I take that into the mid-20s. Okay, and that's the methodology that I believe in. And it's very much about being a consultant to your child, and not trying to solve their problems and fix them and take care of them and overcompensate for the fact that you've been gone for X number of years. But you can actually come into it. And I have another thing for you that we need to put on your website, and I'll forward it to you. It's the Betty Ford Children's Program. And it's a phenomenal 4-day program. It's online and in person. I know in Denver it's in person. I'm not sure, but I know they also do online. And it's an amazing program put on by therapists, where it's just for the kids, ages 7 to 12. And it allows them to get understanding, education, ask questions, and then they incorporate the parents. It's for any kid that has someone who's either sober, newly sober, or has an active addiction in their family system. And it really, these people are miracle workers, just an absolute miracle. I mean, major shout out to my girl, Lindsay, who in Denver runs the joint. But I mean, it is the legit, it is the real deal. It's every family that I work with that has a kid that age, I'm like, this is mandatory. This is not optional. And because it really helps the kid understand what's going on and that it's not their fault, because kids always assume that they've done something wrong,
Yeah. I once, I didn't realize at the time, but I think I kind of walked into a family program with the kids going on, because I walked in, there's a couple of kids sitting at a table, and I went there to kind of a tour. I don't remember why I was there. I don't remember what day it was, but there was a couple of kids. I may get in trouble for this. Lindsay saw me do it, but oh well. But and she didn't yell at me, so congrats. But so I sat down at this little table, and they were shooting pencils up at the roof, at the ceiling. And I said, I'm in. I used to do this all the time in grade school. And I sat down in this little chair, and I just started doing this with these kids, and they were laughing and laughing. And all of a sudden, Lindsay and a couple of them, I think the therapist was like, hey, can we help you? And I was like, just playing around. I was like, oh, I'll leave now. And they're like, did you have, these kids would just have these smiles on their faces and they're laughing. And I kind of walked out and I said, Lindsay, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you guys had like a little thing going on. I just saw an open seat with a kid throwing. They're like, no. Like, and she even said, like, those two kids haven't laughed all day. So thank you for that. But you need to leave. And I was like,
yeah, thanks.
I was like a clown. I came in for 5 minutes. My time was done. But anyway, you can never outgrow a tremendous job. But anyway, yeah, I like what you said. And it reminded me, I did an intervention on a dad that was a pretty good semi-pro soccer player or something back in his day. And he would always coach his kids' soccer teams. And he got sober. We did an intervention on him. He actually went to treatment. Mm-hmm. And so I stayed in contact with the family. I know it was a big deal with the family whether or not he should go back to coaching soccer. And so we kind of just talked it through. And he actually was the one that came up with it. He's like, no, I just want to sit in the background. So he started just going to soccer games, and he didn't say anything. He didn't really coach his kids. He didn't critique them. He just showed up. He said it was the toughest thing he's ever had to do. But, for 2 years or something, he said, and all of a sudden, like 3 years later, I got a phone call, and he called me up, and he goes, amazing thing happened. My kid asked me if I would coach his soccer team again. And I was like, good Lord. Like, and when you were talking, that story just, like, here's a guy that, like what you kind of said, like he just showed up. He didn't interject. He didn't push his way into, he just showed up. And then lo and behold, like, because he kept showing up, his kid circled back and kind of asked him to, get back in his life. So that's what they do. So that's what it's all about. Alrighty, last one. My son claims he's just using marijuana. And she puts in parentheses, I know, Kevin, I know. So okay. People are getting to know you, Kevin. And, it's not just me, but I've heard that fentanyl can be mixed with other drugs. Are there any signs or anything I should be looking out for to know if fentanyl or if he's doing more than just marijuana? This is a common question, I know. So basically, obviously, it's that age-old, he's just doing marijuana. I know I don't want him doing marijuana, but as long as he's just doing marijuana, I guess that's all right. But, how do you can tell, like she's saying, outside of maybe, I think the easiest question is just drug testing him, I guess. But any other things?
No, honestly, that's the only answer is drug testing and holding him accountable. First, okay, I know you said, I know. Okay. If you're concerned that he's going to smoke weed that's laced with fentanyl, he's going to die. It's not a, oh gosh, what do we do? It's like you need to, you kind of need to see yourself, see what it's like saying, well, I know he drinks and drives, but he doesn't drink that much. It's like, no, it's completely unacceptable. And so I need to say that first. I just feel like I got to be like, no is the answer. And then if you're like, well, how do I know? Well, you won't know. That's the problem. You won't know until it's too late. And so that's, my position would be you should have Narcan in the house. And my other position is you are not doing him any favors. And I know you think you're probably, oh, it's harm reduction, or I'm letting him make his own choices. The problem with that thought process with this day and age with those drugs, those people die. That's the end of the conversation. Those people die. It's not somebody that's, drinking is bad, weed is bad, but when you start dancing into the other stuff, you can't come back from it, and that's my problem. That's my concern.
Yeah. I hear it all the time, and he's just doing weed. Should I say something? my response is always the same. Like, say something if you're concerned about it. I mean, especially if you're worried about if it's laced with fentanyl. Like, do you want to say something at his funeral? Like, hey, I should have said something before. Or do you want to say something while he's at it and maybe something sticks? But another PSA, I will just say, because I literally had the phone call yesterday and it's getting more and more rampant. There's also, maybe it's not even a thing anymore. Maybe it's just in my head, but fentanyl is not just for the kids anymore. I just literally got a phone call from a wife of a 55-year-old that she came home and found her 55-year-old husband unresponsive with a fentanyl overdose. They rushed him to the hospital. So the fentanyl is not just for the kids. It's of all ages. So there's a lot of, maybe myths anymore, but fentanyl is going through drugs, drinks, alcohol, whatever. If you want to get outside of self, people are going to use whatever to get outside of self. So fentanyl is real, people. It is real. And say it before you're saying it at someone's funeral is always my belief. So,
Yep.
All right, sir. I think we had a good show.
I think so. These are great questions, man. I really enjoy this. It's, plus I get to hang out with you. So,
I will take that last comment, but I actually think you enjoyed the questions more than me. But you know what? I'm working, like any opportunity I get, to be the clinical mastermind of Kevin Petersen, I'm in, but keep them coming. And we love doing this. Both of us love doing it. And if this gives people an outlet to ask the questions and that everyone is at and wanting to ask and too afraid to ask, we'll keep doing it every week on Thursdays. Family Matters. See you, Kevin.
All right, Jay. Have fun in Nashville. Get some chicken, and I will. I guess you'll be back in Brisket, Texas next week. So.
Oh yeah, barbecue, from chicken to barbecue, I guess.
Oh God, dude, I love it. I could live on it all day, every day. There's nothing better.